Hello, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast. Today we have a Zerg vs. Zerg, a best of 3 series of these two pro players. So let's go ahead and introduce who they are and why one of them is going to have to walk away from this best of 3 series with a loss and the other will walk away victorious. Spawning down here in the bottom left hand corner of GSL Daybreak, we have representing Team TSL, the Korean player, TSLHyuN. And spawning in the top right hand corner of GSL Daybreak as the orange Zerg player representing Team Acer, and also a recent up and coming victor of a very recent tournament that he ended up taking White Row out actually in the finals, I believe. We have the orange Zerg player. His name is AcerBly. We also see a 10 pool going down from AcerBly. Definitely going to be putting on a lot of aggression. We even see, oh my god, trying to get out every single bit that he can of those drones. Definitely going to be useful. But he's definitely going to be putting on some big aggression. We're going to have to wait and see if Hyun should be prepared for this, and I think he will be, considering that he's throwing down this spawning pool relatively early, not going for that hatchery first, and even especially on this map where you have a pretty long walk distance, I think that Hyun should feel very, very comfortable defending against this kind of 10 pool aggression. So now that AcerBly does end up seeing this early pool, or I guess not super early pool, but a relatively early pool from Hyun, seeing that it was not in fact a hatchery first, a little bit of risk that I think Bly did end up taking. I think that, Bly is going to feel pretty comfortable. Yeah, there we see it, just a queen coming out. He does have 2 larvae as well. We can even see he has the money to start spending it, even has the supply to start spending it, but is opting not to. So we can see that he's probably just going to go ahead and, there it is, expand himself. He's going to be a little bit behind in the situation just because he's going to be throwing down that expansion a little bit later. Did end up getting that spawning pool earlier, so that does mean he had drones mining for a little bit less time. He just has less minerals than Hyun has had in this game so far. So we're going to have to see whether or not that's going to come back and haunt Bly. But in the meanwhile, Hyun does already have that expansion going up and building, has already started grabbing that gas geyser, and so that's definitely going to be one advantage that Hyun will have. He's going to be investing in that gas geyser, but we'll end up seeing whether or not he's going to be able to do something with it. If he starts getting any kind of upgrades that he's going to take advantage of, because, you have to remember, even though Hyun does have a little bit of an economic advantage at this point in time, and you can kind of see over here that he has kind of cashed out a little bit with that economic advantage. He does have a 3 drone lead, but still investing he's basically invested those 3 drones into mining this gas geyser. Meanwhile, AcerBly mining just pure minerals and doesn't really have to sacrifice those 3 drones from minerals into mining that gas geyser. So could actually even out. We'll end up seeing how this all plays out. We do see that nice little larva inject that somehow pops out larva. I don't really know or want to know the biology of queens. But we do see, clearly Hyun does not like Terran players, always raging. Those Zerg players are even taking out the supply depots when there is not even a Terran in the game. Poses absolutely no threat, but I guess it can mess up your selection a little bit. So, in the meanwhile, he's going to go ahead and take out that. Now we do see Bly finally getting that gas geyser. That is going to allow him to get that Zergling speed, although a little bit later than his opponent Hyun, who is already about a quarter of the way, maybe a third of the way to Zergling speed completing. We're going to end up seeing whether he does anything with that, and with that extra gas as well, he's already throwing down that Baneling nest. That's about halfway complete. We can see whether or not he decides to put on any kind of aggression. Now we do see a spine crawler coming up for a Bly that is going to be very useful if any kind of aggression comes out with those Banelings from Hyun, as those little spine crawlers can poke those Banelings so freaking well. They definitely are very useful, considering those Banelings are so short range. One might say that they're melee attack range. I mean, they are, but those spine crawlers can definitely attack them before those Banelings actually get a chance to explode. So very, very useful. Much better and more effective than Zerglings. Unless you're doing that good old one Zergling into a Baneling micro, which can be very, very difficult. But two top level players. Now we do see two banelings morphing down there, as well as Hyun kind of poking around with these 4 Zerglings, so I am inclined to believe that he's going to be putting on a little bit of aggression. We're going to have to see whether or not this works out. We do see the banelings moving in, a couple of Zerglings moving in a little bit preemptively, and we do see those banelings chasing those Zerglings of Bly away. Now they might actually be able to take it on this queen. That's going to be a nice win for Hyun, and we do see a big baneling hit coming down on Bly's Zerglings. Now we do see that Bly still has a pretty large number of Zerglings still left over, but still, he is forcing quite a bit of a reaction out of Bly. We can see that quite a few units being produced. We do see that also the second evolution chamber being thrown out as well. This baneling nest of his own. Now this is actually going to be a nice little wall up he's going to have going over here. You can just position this queen on hold position right over here. I think there might still be no, there's no room over there. So he will be in a pretty much complete wall, so that queen is definitely going to be able to absorb these this baneling hits, and we can see that Spinecrawler poking those banelings to death, as well as that queen. So he's definitely going to be able to take out a good number of those banelings, thwarting the aggression from Hyun. He's going to feel pretty comfortable in this position now. We do see that still Hyun has a slight drone lead. He also has a pretty good gas lead. That's actually going to allow him to throw down that Roach Warren, so he's going to feel to be in a pretty nice position at this point in time. Now we do see that Bly does have all 4 of his gas geysers up now, I believe. Yep, we see 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is going to give him a huge surge of gas. He will be able to start getting these upgrades if he so desires in the near future. But he might actually just be investing a bit of that gas for now in those banelings that we do see over here. Ooh, actually losing one of those banelings, not the most ideal situation. Doesn't want to lose that other baneling. Does manage to keep it alive, but he's going to be trying to put on a little bit of aggression, trying to deny this third over here that we do see that Hyun is trying to take. And in the meanwhile, he's trying to take his own third. He's trying to take his third behind the aggression he's put on to Hyun's base. But we do see that these the Zerglings are over here, and they are going to be able to be taken out by these roaches coming in. But meanwhile, he has to be very, very careful of those banelings. And it looks like all of these Zerglings of Bly do end up being cleaned up. So Hyun's going to feel comfortable going ahead and retaking this third. But in the meanwhile, he does have this Overlord over here. He does see that his opponent is taking a third. So we're going to have to see whether or not he's going to put on some aggression. It looks like he's moving out with a couple of Zerglings, just a small little fleet of them. Gonna see what pressure he can put on, and let's see how Bly decides to react. Looks like he was getting ready to move out and put on a little bit more pressure, but in fact he's gonna be forced to pull back. Now looks like Hyun is going to feel comfortable just kind of going ahead and retreating. We do see a couple of roaches already out and moving across the map, so we might be able to put on some good aggression. Now we do see AcerBly kind of moving around. Ooh, an interesting path that he's taking. He might be looking to do a counterattack, maybe just a flanking position. I'm not sure how well this is going to work out for him. It looks like, yeah, he wants to go ahead and go for the third, but no, he has a last second retreat, and that's actually going to cost him a little bit of time. These roaches definitely going to be able to take out this Spinecrawler, maybe even start to take down the wall, but oh my god, a huge baneling hit coming in on AcerBly's Zerglings. We can see that Zergling kind of severely diminished, and these roaches are going to be able to move straight in with basically no no force being able to put on any aggression against them. And there is the GG coming down for AcerBly with that very key mistake, trying to pull those Zerglings around for the counterattack path, but in fact, all it did was it kind of forced his Zerglings through this choke over here as those roaches just moved straight in to his main. And when he tried to pull back those Zerglings, those banelings were just waiting for him. And that really just killed his entire army. Even with the Zerglings that he was producing, those 22 Zerglings, I don't think they would have been too effective against these roaches, as these roaches would have been able to get into a fabulous position against all of these buildings in this, right next to this little choke as the ramp over here. So that is going to mean that TSLHyuN going to be up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. I don't want to keep you guys here for too much longer. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. After you go ahead and subscribe to youtube.com/FearGiant64, that's where you're at already. Don't go anywhere. Other than game number 2. Also, twitch.tv/FearGiant64, twitter.com/FearGiant64. You can go ahead and follow me there. Send your replays to FearGiant64@gmail.com. I'm tired of doing these stupid plugs. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. I'll see you guys there.